Sorry for missing out on yesterday, but I had some hero stuff to take care of. You know how it goes. Now, Chapter 3, Animal Care. For Trixie's Game Back on Her Hooves by Shao Raiko and Godzilla. Enjoy. So, she lives here, asked Trixie, looking around the ground surrounding Fluttershy's kites. The cute, timid little Pegasus, who personifies kindness, lives next to the unnatural, terrifying, monster-infested forest of death? She asked, looking over the nearby Everfree Forest, which is notorious throughout Equestria for its unusual fauna, including the Ursa. Trixie gulped and gave a shiver at that last thought, before quickly composing herself. Does the hyperactive party-loving earth pony that embodies laughter live in a mausoleum? Spike gave a chuckle. Fluttershy's tougher than all those monsters. Fix, stop making me love you. Trixie blinked to clear surprise. Say what? Spike smirked, enjoying getting under Trixie's skin a bit. You know about dragons, right? Trixie gave a shudder. Yes. Massive, mountainside, greedy brutes that hoard gems and will destroy pretty much anything that comes looking for their stats of treasure. They also have very bad breath. She stated. Spike gave a glare clear to his throat. Trixie knows what she said. The female unicorn replied, giving a smirk. Spike sighed. Whatever. A full-grown dragon made his lair in a cave up there on that mountain. Was threatening to cover all of Equestria in smoke. He explained. Fluttershy made him cry and run away. Spike sighed. Whatever. A full-grown dragon made his lair in a cave up there on that mountain. Was threatening to cover all Equestria in smoke. He explained. Fluttershy made him cry and run away. Trixie gave an eyebrow before looking over at Fluttershy. A leaf fluttered down, landing on the Pegasus' back, causing her to scream and sip into a bush, peeking out fearfully. Trixie is having difficulty believing that. That's because you haven't seen what Shy's like when she's mad, said Spike, giving a smirk. Trixie looked back as Fluttershy peeked out of the bush, looking around, only to retreat with a shout when another leaf landed on her head. Trixie is still not convinced. You haven't seen the stare, Spike said, giving a spooky tone when he said to stare. That stare? What's that? Asked Trixie, giving him a confused look. Ever heard of a cockatrice? Trixie gave a raised eyebrow. You're not trying to tell Trixie that this pony can turn things into stone, are you? No, but she's outstared one before, replied Spike with a smirk. Now you're just being ridiculous. You're trying to tell Trixie that this Pegasus was scared of her own shadow, can scare away an adult dragon and stare down a cockatrice? As Trixie with a scoff. That's outlandish, as Trixie saying she vanquished an Ursa Major. I know it's hard to believe, but just because Fluttershy didn't see you humiliate AJ, Rainbow, and Rarity, or you have been in trouble, said Spike, looking back. Can Trixie just get her job now? Asked Trixie, ignoring the little dragon. Spike rolled his eyes and led the way over, Fluttershy having got back to work in the meantime. Hey Fluttershy, Trixie's ready for her job! Fluttershy had a few up in a tree and feed some animals, but gave a nod. Okay, my job is to take care of all the animals, she explained, giving the birds a seat before descending to the ground. This is Angel, she stated, pointing to the little bunny. Say hello, Angel. Trixie looked at Angel, who was almost glaring at her, which made her feel uneasy. Hello there? Angel just glared again. Anyway, what should Trixie do? She asked, finding the little rabbit too unnerving. Said Fluttershy, looking around with a confused look. Oh dear, she muttered, not sure what to say. Well, you could maybe eat if you don't mind. Trixie started getting tad annoyed. Trixie gets the feeling you're not used to being the boss of another pony, are you? No, I'm sorry, said Fluttershy, lowering her head as Trixie face-huffed. Applejack was on her way to the farms when she came across a mountain of glorious, beautiful tomato-red apples. Big Mac, where are all these glorious, perfect apples doing here? Don't you know there's a storm a-coming? Applejack asked, confused and anger alike. Then she turned to her to stare where the apples were, in front of the Cuckoo Corner. She panicked at the thought of Pinky's sense striking the apples. Yup, I knew a storm might come on Applejack. I was taking the apples home. I was just showing them off a bit. Grace me out there. Big Mac replied, much to the relief of Applejack. But since she knows the amount of apples, it'll take a long time to bring down the mountain, and she did not want the apples to catch tusks or be damaged, after all, since apples like these were very rare, and dispatch was quite important. Suddenly she saw Pinky coming. "Pinky, careful!" Pinky blinked as he seemed to stop in mid-jump a moment before landing. "Huh? What's going on, Applejack? Is this a subplot?" Guys, these apples are kind of important," replied Applejack, rubbing her head at Pinky's weirdness. "Oh, why?" "Well, you see, these apples are, well, flawless," replied Applejack, taking one of the apples very carefully, which had a completely smooth surface, bright red with a beautiful shine. "We get lots of really good apples every year, but perfect apples like these almost never happen, let alone this many of them. We've been working our flanks off growing all these for the big fair in Camelot. If we win, we get a real big prize. I mean, real big." "Oh, so this is how you go over and sell your start yard for the Grand Gala and fix up your farm?"
Yep,
answered Big Mac, loading the apples carefully into a cart. Pinky nodded, then gasped, remembering something. "Oh! Applejack, the cake's need about 100 apples," Pinky said, much surprised of A.T. "We just got a really, really big order for apple pie, so we're all out of apples."
"100? Helmet!" Applejack said, ran away to the farms. "Hi, aren't you going to help me take down the apples?"
Big Mac yelled as Applejack head off. Big Earth Point gave a sigh and kept loading as Pinkie Pie hopped into the corner. "Well, I guess you could," started Fluttershy. Rather shyly as Trixie stared at her expectantly. "On the way to the library, Pinkie asked me to get the case of Chicken Corner a lot of eggs. You can go get them for the chickens. I mean, if you really want to." Trixie blinked. "And you're all right with taking eggs from chickens?" Trixie surprised. "Oh, not the eggs that'll come cute little chicks. I never do that," responded Fluttershy, giving a gasp of surprise when Trixie brought it up. "But unfertilized eggs will just go bad if nobody uses them. Those are the only ones I take." "And how do you know which are which?" "Oh, the chickens tell me if they're going to have little ones. Don't worry, there aren't any right now," replied Fluttershy with a rather cute smile. Trixie looked at her like she was insane. "Oh, right," Spike sighed, tugging lightly at her mane to get her attention. "Trixie, communicating with animals is Fluttershy's special talent." Fluttershy nodded. "That's what I got my cutie mark for." Trixie sighed. "Whatever. Okay, so just get the eggs," she asked, telekinetically picking up a bucket for that very purpose. We're starting towards the chicken coop. Fluttershy gave a nod. "Yes, if you don't mind. Oh, and one more thing." Trixie gave a sigh and turned to her. "What now?" "Oh, sorry," Fluttershy muttered, looking down shyly and picking up at her timidly. "I was just going to say that one of the hens, Gertrude, is a bit temperamental about her eggs. You need to be very careful and talk to her calmly, so she'll let you take them." "Fine. Temperamental chicken. Get your Trixie go now," asked Trixie, wanting to get this over with. Fluttershy gave a whimper and nodded slowly. Trixie headed to the chicken coop, giving a face. Chicken cubes weren't known for smelling good after all. So he lifted a sleeping hen with telekinesis, flooded the eggs out from under her, and putting them onto the pail, which Trixie sat on the floor for the task, and floating along as he moved on to the next. "Why do you put a bucket down each time?" asked Spike, perplexed by the accent. "Well, unicorns can multitask with telekinesis. Setting down something one doesn't need to be carrying makes it easier to work," replied Trixie, levitating more eggs to the bucket. Spike scoffed. "Twilight doesn't need to." "The Trixie asks what Twilight needs to do," snapped Trixie, dropping a bunch of eggs and just barely catching them before they hit the ground. "Fine, jeez, talk about temperamental," replied Spike, rolling his eyes. Trixie gave a snarl, but continued until she finally came up to the chickens he had been warned about. Gertrude. However, she prepared to do the same with her as all the others. "Hey, Trixie, that's the chicken flesh I warned you about, remember?" asked Spike, a little worried. Trixie gave a small growl. "Fine," she muttered, looking at the chicken. "Gertrude, may Trixie please have your eggs? Fluttershy asks this of her," she requested, as politely as possible. She couldn't believe she was doing this. Then the hen merely clicked and preened herself. Trixie sighed again and began lifting the hen, only for her to squawk loudly and take a peck at her. Trixie jumped back quickly, out of the way as best as she could, dropping Gertrude back on her nest. Trixie gave a snarl. "Stupid bird! What did you do that for?" Spike sighed. "Ask again. This time be Trixie doesn't need your help," replied Trixie with a growl. She looked back at Gertrude, tried her best to look calm. "Trixie is sorry about that. Now, please, Gertrude, full of the Chinese eggs. Please, just let Trixie get them," she stated. Stage practice let her keep her voice calm, despite her frustration and embarrassment. She tried lifting the hen again, only to get the same result. Trixie gave a growl. "Listen, Trixie is losing her patience, chicken. Relinquish your eggs now, or face her wrath!" Trixie screamed in a theatrical manner. Spike backed away. "I don't think this is a good idea." "Did Trixie ask if you did?" snapped Trixie, glaring at the baby dragon. "Maybe you should just ask Fluttershy to help. She's good with animals, and I'm just wondering." "Trixie does not need help dealing with a chicken!" replied Trixie in a separate tone. "She's just a chicken. How tough can she be?" Spike sighed. "I wonder how Twilight's doing." Twilight gagged, telekinetically hovering a mop around, trying to telekinetically mop the smelly, extremely stubborn green goo, the source of the stench off the tile floors of Blueblood's room, eyes watering for the horrid odor. Just what had Rainbow put in that stink bomb anyway? She did her best to hold her breath as she worked. It didn't help much. Note to self, look up cleaning spells when I get home.
"Careful, those are important tile floors," explained the prince, watching over her shoulders with a white diamond-studded gas mask on.
"I'm trying," replied Twilight in a decisive voice, coughing mid-sentence, forgetting a healing. "Why are you the one wearing a gas mask anyway?" she asked, not even asking why it was an extremely fancy one either.
"And allow my royal nostrils to be defiled by this horrid stench. Never!"
replied Blueblood in his usual pompous tone. "Then why are you even in the room?" asked Twilight, continuing to cling the best of her abilities.
"The only ponies allowed in my room without my presence are Auntie Celestia and Auntie Una, and my royal maids. How else can I be sure that you're not going to bring something valuable?"
asked Blueblood. Twilight gave a growl. "Blueblood, I'm not that clumsy. We've been in the castle at the same time since we were kids. We might not have known each other that well, but have you ever heard of me breaking anything outside of messing up a new spell Celestial teaching me?"
"You've been living in Ponyville for over a year. How do I know you can still be trusted?"
Twilight growled deeper, scrubbing a bit harder as the irate prince kept nagging her ears off. "I hope Trixie's having a better day than me." Fluttershy softly tended to the red lumps all over Trixie's head from Gertrude's beak as the mayor sat in a chair outside the house. "Ow!" "Sorry," muttered Fluttershy, putting on some medicine on each wound.
"Boy, you sure showed her,"
said Spike in a tone dripping with sarcasm, rolling his eyes. "That was not a normal chicken," replied Trixie, fussing heavily at the fact she got in her flank thoroughly kicked by a chicken. "She was like some ninja chicken." Spike rolled his eyes.
"She was a chicken."
"That explained the flying dragon kick!" Maybe tell her martial arts?" "I'm so sorry. I've never seen Gertrude so aggressive," stated Fluttershy in an extremely apologetic tone.
"That's because she never had a unicorn try to pry off her eggs with a crowbar," muttered Spike, glaring at Trixie.
"Forget it. Let's never speak it again," stated Trixie, rather eager to forget it herself. Fluttershy finished tending to Trixie's head about 20 minutes later. "What's next?" asked Trixie, keeping her distance from the chicken coop. Fluttershy blinked. Let me think," she muttered, looking around her surroundings. She saw the animals dead near the stream surrounding her house. Normally she feed them herself, but she still had to collect a lot of eggs, since letting Trixie back in the coop wasn't the best idea. She got some food for them in a bucket. "Could you maybe feed those animals down there? If it's not too much trouble, I mean." Rainbow lay on a cloud a good distance away, watching the scene with binoculars. She better not do anything to hurt Fluttershy, or I swear! She muttered. Even though she was angry with her friends for siding with Trixie, she wasn't about to leave them high and dry. Trixie was up to something. Unless Pinky leave me these binoculars to keep an eye on things, she said, lowering them to reveal ink circles around her eyes. She then blinked, took them off, and looked at her reflection in them. She promptly faced off. Okay, now here's a map of what animals live where and what to feed them, explained Fluttershy, handing it to Trixie. The black ones are nocturnal and are sleeping right now, so you don't need to worry about them. The red-labeled ones are easily startled, so be very careful. A frightened animal can be dangerous. Trixie looked at it all over and nodded. All right, sounds simple enough, she replied, looking it over. Trixie's horn glowed as she fattened the basket of food up. Anything else? Fluttershy shook her head. No, that's all, she said, then looked at Spike, hoping everything went all right. She fluttered over to the chicken coop and got to work herself. With that, Trixie started down the rather steep slope towards the stream below. Spike noticed this before she did. Hey, you better watch out! Trixie's got it, Trixie said in a stubborn tone as she continued. But Trixie's got it, replied Trixie, carelessly continuing on. But the stump is really, said Spike, and right as Trixie screamed, it slid down the slope as she lost her footing, landing face first in a mud puddle. Steep. Mabel burst out laughing as she watched through the binoculars, having cleaned them and herself off. Serves her right for bullying every pony, she said, chuckling to herself, but gave a small growl at the small mention of bullying. At least she didn't call me Rainbow Crash, she muttered slightly, putting the binoculars to continue watching. Trixie grunted, managed to catch the basket, but couldn't cover in mud. Trixie's fine, she called out, limiting the list of food as she got to her feet. Trixie deposited the food to a few animals, using the list with relatively ease. This isn't too hard, she said aloud, before she came to one and realized it was mostly covered in mud on the list. Rendering it ineligible, she hesitated. Everything all right, Trixie? asked Spike, still standing on the ledge watching. Yes, everything is fine. Trixie is in no way confused and in need of assistance, called Trixie, looking back at the list. I got a good enough look at it. I'm pretty sure it's safe. But which animal is it? She asked, able to make out the front letter of the name. Squirrels? Shrews? I remember it was a mammal, if I'm not mistaken. She recalled. I've got to call out for its food anyway, so might as well do and see what it is. Trixie cleared her throat. Ahem. Excuse me, animal. Trixie has your food ready, she said simply. No replied. Excuse Trixie. Come out and get your food, she stated a bit louder. Still nothing. Trixie gave a growl. Trixie said, come out and get your food, she called, raising her voice. Still nothing. Maybe the den was empty. Forgetting what Fluttershy said about some of the animals, she poked her head in and saw a furry shape. Okay, let's see what you are, she said. As she lit up her horn and realized what it was in the den, it gave a start and raised its black, striped tail. Horse apples. You know, the thing is, this fic does this whole entire Trixie bit better than some of the canon. It still does. There. All done, panted Twilight, looking around Blueblood's spotless room as the prince sat comfortably, drinking some fancy imported water, naturally not thinking to offer the exhausted mare anything at all. I cleaned the entire room top to bottom. I even dusted your statues. She reported, of yourself, she ended mentally. Blueblood sipped his ice-cold water as Twilight panted. Good. It's the least you could do after offering that little bright dragon of yours defiled my private quarters as he did. He added, not even looking in her direction. Twilight snarled, hearing him speak about Spike, but held her tongue. Let it go, Twilight. Let it go. You can't turn him into a frog. He's Celestia's nephew, she recited mentally. Well, I'm sorry he did it, and I punished him for it. As you should, replied the prince. I haven't been treated so disrespectfully since the Grand Galbic Gala.
That was probably the worst night of my life. I mean, some country hick defiles my royal palate with her disgusting carnival food.
He stayed with disgust, not noticing Twilight shooting him a death glare.
Then an insane pink pony jumps off the stage like a madman and launches cake at me, followed by some lunatic nearly bringing the ballroom down, showing off, and some screaming beast chases all the golden animals into the room, caused mass hysteria. And how they managed to cross the party is beyond me.
Twilight snarled with rage, storing hot air out her nose, but took a deep breath and calmed herself. Mean, yes, but we did kind of ruin the gala. He has every right to be angry, even if he has absolutely no right to say that about Applejack. Just let it go, Twilight. Let it go.
But the worst part was my absolutely selfish state.
The state of Blueblood was sustained. Selfish? Asked Twilight, staring out in disbelief.
Yes. She kept expecting me to lower myself and open doors, buy her food, and called me an uncharming prince, and defiled my suit with cake, he exclaimed, somewhere in his crime. I am a prince. I shouldn't have to be subjected to such treatment.
Rarity, you think Rarity is selfish? Snarled Twilight, anger rising.
That's her name. Yes, after all, why else would she be expecting a prince to do manual labor?
Asked Blueblood, completely oblivious to Twilight's fury, until he looked over to find her literally burning with rage.
Twilight, you're on fire. Please put yourself down before you burn something important.
As Twilight's flaming tail went out, she landed, still smoking and covering in ash. She technically twirled Blueblood around to face her. I don't care what you say about me. I can't even forgive you for saying Pinky, Rainbow, and Fluttershy ruined the gala, because they actually kind of did. I may even be able to forgive you for insulting Applejack's cooking, but you do not call Rarity of all ponies selfish! She yells, getting into the pompous prince's face. She may be a little vain sometimes, and sometimes she lets her desires get the best of her, but she's the most generous and unselfish mare I know. She's the element of generosity, for crying out loud. She worked herself ragged, making me and my friends 2 sets of gala dresses, doing everything we asked, even though she knew our designs were a big disaster. And you knew what, Blueblood? She didn't even think about working on her dress until she had ours made. Is that selfish? The furious unicorn screamed, knowing Blueblood seemed surprised at that. Does that surprise you? Of course it would surprise a self-serving, egotistical narcissist like you! You know, I wasn't expecting you to be her Prince Charming, but I was expecting you to be a proper gentle stallion. That's all she wanted for you to do. She'd probably even be happy you just split everything 50-50. Instead, you were a selfish, egocentric, self-absorbed royal pain who only cared about yourself and wanted to be your date to do absolutely everything for you. And now you have the nerve to call that poor mare selfish! Trixie wonders, is that your compliment to every single pony who's ever insulted Rarity in these fanfics? Of course, Trixie, of course. Before Blueblood could respond, Twilight glared at him, coming close to the stare of sheer intensity. Not quite there, but close as any pony who wasn't Fluttershy could get. And don't you dare use the fact your royalty is an excuse, because it's not. Princess Celestia is a lot more royal than you are, and she gave me a place to stay in Ponyville just because she knew I'd be miserable without my friends. She lent me and my friends the castle ballroom for my birthday party without even being asked. She gave Rarity a room in the royal palace just because I told her Rarity needed somewhere to stay. Celestia set everything aside and came to Ponyville as fast as she could just because Spike wrote a letter saying I was getting worked up making a deadline. So no! Being royal certainly isn't an excuse, Blueblood. Let me tell you something else. It's not an excuse to go and treat any of your subjects who look like you up to dirt like the way you did to Rarity. Celestia and Luna both go out of their way to be friends and have a good relationship with their subjects. Luna, who rolls the night, set everything aside to try and reconnect with her subjects on Nightmare Night. And Celestia is it too, refined that she can't take a little commoner food. If anything, Celestia tries to be less royal than she really is. If they're the highest royalty in the land, Blueblood, What does that say about how you behave when you're so much lower than they are? Asked Twilight, staring Blueblood in the eyes. A ruler's duty isn't to treat their subjects like their personal servants. That isn't how Celestia and Luna rule. If you really want to be a proper prince, you shouldn't either, spat Twilight, giving one last glare before turning and heading to the door. Harry and Blueblood let out a sigh of relief. She looked back to see a rather confused look on his face. And for the record, I wasn't ordered to clean up your room. I volunteered to do this because I felt guilty Spike pranked you like he did. Now I'm not sure if I should have felt guilty or not. So yeah, glaring at him, trying to make sense of the look on his face. He looked a bit scared, definitely confused. Maybe just a bit conflicted. Now excuse me, I have a mayor who really needs my help to get back to helping. So he started trying out and slamming the door hard. Back at the library, Trixie was in a large tub, having Spike dump tomato juice on her and scrub her down, trying to get the skunk stink out of her fur. Trixie, one thing, said Spike, taking the clothespin off his nose to sniff. He gagged and put it back on, before getting another can of tomato juice. Yes, what? Asked Trixie in a rather miserable tone. Why didn't you just use your magic to float the food down to the animals? Asked Spike, opening the can. Trixie promptly slammed her head into the metal rim of the tub, with a resounding thud, after which Spike dumped the tomato juice on her back. Hey everybody, I'm home and... said Twilight, walking in and blinking at the sight before her. What happened? Trixie groaned. You mean you can't smell anything out of the ordinary? Twilight shook her head. No, my nose is pretty much burned down from cleaning up some pony stinks bomb. She said, glaring at Spike, who whistled innocently. Long story short, Trixie got sprayed by a skunk, replied Trixie in a rather annoyed voice. Hey Trixie, it's your future pet! Oh, hello, Sally. Here you are. Who's Trixie's favorite girl?
Beat up by a chicken, said Spike.
Ninja chicken! Trixie thought she said never to speak of it! Replied Trixie instantly, before looking at Twilight and realizing she was blackened with ass. What happened to you? Twilight gave a frustrated sigh. Let's just say Blueblood pushed too far and I finally blew up. Trixie blinked. Literally, it looks like, she muttered, clearly surprised. Twilight has been so calm and collected before. It was a big surprise to see her get mad enough to literally burst into flames. Anyway, I'm gonna go shower. Tomorrow we can try with Rarity. Twilight said, heading towards the bathroom, then blinked, looked back to Trixie with a raised eyebrow. Ninja chicken? Trixie doesn't want to talk about it. Trixie laid in bed, a pillow cupped around her head as Twilight spoke aloud for Spike to copy down, again. No, that's no good. Throw it out, said Twilight in a quite frustrated voice, Spike noisily crumpling out the paper and throwing it away. Trixie growled a growl and shot up, throwing the pillow to her side. That's the fourth time. Whatever are you working on that is so important? She asked in a rather short voice. Her normally white mane and tail were now bright pink from the tomato juice. Twilight said to go away in time, but Trixie was still in a rather foul mood. Twilight sighed. I'm sorry I kept you awake, she said, looking up at her. It's a letter to Celestia. I or any of my friends are supposed to write her one every time we learn a lesson about friendship. Trixie sighed confusion. Interesting. So does it always take this long for you to write one? She asked in a rather bored voice. No, it's just this time it's hard to write about because I'm still steamed about what Blueblood said, explained Twilight, looking up at Trixie. You didn't get angry at Trixie when she was publicly humiliating your best friends. Why was now different? Asked Trixie, giving Twilight a confused look. You didn't try to paint yourself as anything you weren't, outside the Earth's a major thing, said Twilight, thinking about it. You gave an open challenge. Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity accepted it. You beat them, that was it. You didn't hide your intentions or act like they were the bad guys. Blueblood, on the other hand, tried to present himself as the victim. I could take him saying Rainbow Dash, Pinky, and Fluttershy were in the gala. They kinda did. Elite. They ruined the gala, asked Trixie, giving an eyebrow. You were at the gala! Twilight nodded with a frown. Yeah, long story short. Rainbow went overboard showing off for the Wonderbolts. Pinkie Pie was, well, Pinkie Pie.
and the animals in the palace garden ignored Fluttershy, causing her to go temporarily insane and chase all the animals into the castle ballroom while screaming, "You are going to love me," at the top of her lungs. Trixie does stare at blank shock at the last part. Yeah, even she was surprised when she came to her senses.
You think that's bad? You should hear about when Twilight...
Twilight quickly covered Spike's mouth with her hoof. Anyway, I could even forgive the fact that Blueblood hated Applejack's food, personal taste and all that. But calling Rarity selfish? All she'd done was have the very realistic expectation of him being a seasoned stallion to her. Instead, she ended up practically being his slave all night, trying to please him, and he refused to so much as open the door for her. He made her the bad guy, and was trying to be a blatant hypocrite about it too. That's what got me angry. Trixie nodded slowly. Trixie guesses that makes sense, she muttered, blinking. She was now seriously reconsidering what Spike had said about Fluttershy being capable of cowing a fully grown dragon single-handedly. Carry on. Alright, Spike, one last time.
Twilight said, Spike getting ready.
Dear Princess Celestia, today I learned a valuable lesson about friendship. It's always important to stand up for your friends. Even if the pony who's dragging their name through the mud happens to be more important or influential. No matter how high up they are, no pony has the right to look down on some pony else, just because they're less successful, less fortunate, or less wealthy than they are. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle.
She finished, Spike writing it down as she spoke.
I think that's a keeper.
Tracy watched Spike as he poked his head out the window and blew fire on it, sending it out. Twilight, you honestly believe that? She asked, confused.
Twilight nodded without hesitation. Of course I do. I've seen the power of friendship firsthand.
Since friendship is magic, that means Twilight's the element of friendship, I guess, Spike said, curling up in his bed with a yawn. You should know it better than any pony. Trixie laid down in bed, looking up at the ceiling, rather confused.
I see. Twilight, if that's the case, why didn't you stand up to me when Trixie was publicly humiliating your friends? Trixie knows that you could have kicked her flank in an instant if you so choose. But why?
Twilight looked up at her.
I saw how every pony, hated you for being a show-off. No offense. Trixie sighed. It's fine, Twilight Sparkle. Trixie wasn't in town to make friends. I'll cross that bridge when we come to it, thought the purple unicorn. I didn't want to look like a show-off and get hated too. But in the end, after I saw the Ursa, I found out my friends didn't care about my magic. They liked it about me. What they, didn't like about you was how much you bragged and boasted about your magic.
Trixie blinked, rolling over and looking down at Twilight.
You didn't want to stand out?
She asked. It's a deaf fact we're insane.
Twilight shook her head. No, actually. Part of the reasons I love my friends in Ponyville so much is that they're my friends for who I am. Not what I could do or what rank in society I am. Back at Camelot, there were a lot of ponies that tried to be my friends just because I was Princess Celestia's personal student. Sounds pretty good to Trixie. But that's just it, Trixie. It seems good on the surface, but it's not, said Twilight somewhat sternly. Friends that don't care about you. They care about you, what you got your status. You don't matter to them. If I lost my status as personal Celestia's personal student, they abandoned me like I had the cutie pox.
She continued.
Then she saw Trixie looked like she was on the verge of tears. Trixie, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Good night, Twilight, she replied.
Trixie, abruptly turning over and covering herself up. What's wrong with her? Asked Spike, for once sounding genuinely concerned.
Twilight shook her head. I don't know, Spike, she whispered, turning out the light and laying down in her makeshift bed. Maybe she's just a lot like how I used to be, she muttered, yawning, her sister's body begging to sleep. Good night, Spike, she replied, trying to go to sleep.
Trixie laid on her covered, choking back sobs.
They don't care about you. They only care about what you've done, she whispered, tears flowing down her cheek. Worthless mare. Until you make yourself something of yourself, don't you dare darken our doorway again. Not until you're some pony. If you're not a some pony, then you're no pony. Never forget that, Trixie.
Trixie did her best not to sob out loud anyone could hear.
Was it easy? You don't care. You don't care unless I meet something myself. Twilight looked up, hearing mumbling but nothing else. Trixie? Real friends? She asked, not knowing if Trixie was really asleep or not. They're the ones that still care about you when you're down on your luck. In fact, that's when they care the most. Good night, she said, laying down and letting sleep overtake her. And then Twilight looked over. Then Trixie proceeded to look over at Twilight's sleeping form and got ready to kiss her. And Trixie, it was a joke. It was a joke. Put down the knife. Put down the knife. I'm sorry, folks, but these jokes are all I got. I love this story so much. I got nothing to comment, joke, or be silly about. Trixie gave a small gasp. She looked conflicted as she ran that over her head. Not sure what to think about it. She sank into sleep with more questions on her mind than ever. Tears still in her eyes as her complicated mind tried to answer those questions.